All right. So we are here with our book club, Get Over Your Damn Self. And we are on chapter 11, The Bullshit We Tell Ourselves. So let's jump right in. Jenny, take it away.
Awesome. I should be good at this. Hang on. By now, I hope you have a good idea how to handle prospects' objections. But there are other objections that can be harder to overcome because these are the ones that you throw at yourself, and they're keeping you from building a huge business that can set you free. There are a million different reasons you can come up with why this won't work for you or why you won't grow it really big. I want to explore the most common excuses you and your team members may be telling yourselves about why you're not building the business you say you want to. I'm going to call bullshit on each and every one. I'll also show you what's really behind these excuses and how you can move past them and into the real exciting work of this life, becoming the person you were meant to be. I don't have time for this. Let's tackle the most prevalent bullshit in our profession first. You may be saying, I'm unable to consistently do this because I don't have time. But let's be honest. What you're really saying is, I haven't made this a priority. Until this business is a priority, you will have time management problems, and it will be easy to avoid working your business. We find time for everything that's important to us. Think about it. The vacation you didn't think you could fit in because of the mountain of work you had to do, going to your child's soccer game, even though it meant moving 4 other meetings, staying up to watch Game of Thrones, even though it meant you couldn't get your 7 hours of sleep, a blowout appointment scrunched into an already packed day so you'll look fab at the dinner party. Whatever inconvenience or painful consequences that come from making these things happen were outweighed by your desire to do them. The next time you find yourself saying, I don't have time, instead try saying it's not a priority and see how that feels. I don't have time to make calls to 3 new people today becomes it's not a priority for me to make calls to 3 new people today. If it's not a priority, that's totally cool. This is your business and your life. But don't kid yourself or your business partners that you want to build a huge business when you're not really willing to make it a top priority. Remember, we thoroughly explored in chapter 2 that clearly your why has to be big enough to outweigh any pain or inconvenience that comes from building this sucker. Maybe your why is big enough and you're making time for your business, but you're finding your business just isn't growing. It could be because you're spending your time in the wrong place. The number one thing you have to make time for is personal prospecting. We've already talked about the essential truth that the vast majority of your time should go towards your personal recruiting and training your newbies, at least 80%. You've also learned that you must also pay yourself first by doing your prospecting and recruiting work first. So no matter what else happens to your schedule, you've taken care of what you can personally control. This ensures that you have an endless stream of people looking at your business, joining your business, and growing businesses of their own. But you may argue that with all the other team responsibilities, you just can't get to it. Let me be clear. The number one responsibility you have for your team is to set a pace and a duplication model that your team can follow. Intellectually, I think all of this makes sense to you and thousands upon thousands of people just like you. So why don't you have enough time to reach out and talk to people? Because it's hard. And as humans, we'll do anything and everything to avoid the hard stuff. But here's the thing. It's the hard stuff that's the most important. Trust me, I'm not immune to this. In fact, it happens to me all the time, like while I'm writing this chapter. In the last hour, instead of focusing solely on getting my thoughts about bullshit from my head through my fingers onto the page, I have checked Facebook direct messages and sent 2, checked email and responded to 3, sent a reminder email to my guest on this week's team training call, made a blowout appointment, which I remembered to do after typing blowout appointment, got up to order an iced tea, girl can't write when she's thirsty, updated our grocery list, checked to see who had RSVP'd to our summer party, went to the bathroom, too much iced tea. Why did I do all this when I had specifically carved out 2 hours of power writing time for myself? Why, even when I was sequestered at Starbucks with no kids, dog, house stuff, or anyone I knew to distract me, did I not take those 2 hours and get this chapter written? Because writing is hard. But wait, I went to journalism school. I was a lawyer. I was a PR exec. Writing is what I've done for a living. But this is different. A little voice in my head says, this is you putting yourself out there. And it might suck and no one will get help from it. And they'll figure out you don't know what the hell you're talking about. In other words, writing this book makes me vulnerable. My tender underbelly is exposed for the whole world to poke at. To be perfectly honest, this whole book would have been done and to the publisher months ago if it weren't so damn hard to put myself out there and so damn easy to avoid the hard stuff. Excuse me. But enough about me. Let's get back to you. I'll bet you $1,000 that you're doing everything else in your business before you're talking to people about your business. All the other stuff you think is so necessary for the growth of your empire that is taking your available time away from talking to people. Because when you talk to people about your business and your hopes and dreams, you're putting yourself out there, open, vulnerable. You're opening yourself up to rejection. In other words, it's hard. It's so much easier to reach out and have a coaching call with one of your team members to tell them the very same things you've already told them and that they've already heard on several training calls. It's much easier to call up your accountability partner and complain about the latest out of stock product. Or once again, tell the team member to reach out and talk to 3 new people a day because she still isn't doing it. Well, guess what, sister? Neither are you. Let's get really clear on what you're supposed to do to grow a lucrative business. Reach out and talk to people about your business and your products. Find those who are looking for what you have to offer. This is where the vast majority of your time is spent, at least 80%. Train your newbies on the basics. Do 3-way calls for your newbies and your other direct business partners. Strategize with your runners about how to support those on their team who are jogging and running. Recognize and praise accomplishment. So there's an action challenge, you guys. Over the next week, I challenge you to make a list of all the things you spend time doing for your business and the actual time you spend doing it. I think you're going to be amazed where your time is going and where it's not going. Then take a red pen to all the things that don't fall into one of the above categories. Finally, schedule in the hard stuff. Dedicate time to reach out and talk to people about your business and your products. Got anything on that, or you want me to keep going?
This is a big chapter. I was just skimming ahead. I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember the first time I read this book, I was like, the whole like, it's not a priority thing hit me like square between the eyes. I was like, oh, like when you take those things that are like, I just don't have time for this, and you replace it with that, and it just gives you a reality check of like, so what is important to you? What is, what is it you're spending your time on? Is this a priority? And I remember that, like, it was funny because when you're reading, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that, because it did. It's a lot of times, that's busy, right? That was like the key word for years. Like, I'm busy. That's the buzzword. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. This last year, it became overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with everything going on while I'm sitting in my house doing nothing, but I'm overwhelmed. And so it's like, but it changes that when you take it, if you take either of those two words, busy or overwhelmed, and change it to, this just isn't a priority for me. If you're okay with that, like, and there were times that I was just like, yeah, I'm okay with that. That's not a priority for me. It's not a priority for me to go to these like school functions and things where all the moms are doing the things, and I'm not into that, right? And so yeah, it helped me sometimes discern what was a priority and what wasn't. There were things that I was missing out on that were a priority that I needed to switch that up. And then there were things that I was feeling like I was feeling guilty about not doing, when I really realized, like, hey, these things aren't a priority for me and I'm okay with that. And so it helped in two different ways. It helped me kind of, release some of that stuff I was feeling guilty about not doing, attending, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. And then it made me, switch up some of the things that I was prioritizing other things over it when that thing was a priority.
I
But
think
yeah,
so. Whenever you start talking about priorities too, I think it's important to realize what your priorities are as opposed to what other people think your priorities should be,
right.
because sometimes they are not the same thing at all.
No, that happens with Eric and I, right? I get up and I have priorities that day, and sometimes they're not his priorities. That happened just like a weekend ago, and I was just like, I'm like, listen, I've asked you to do this so many times. Just don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. And he's like, no, I'm going to take care of it. I said, no, clearly it's not a priority for you. And that's fine. It's a big priority for me. And I'm done waiting. Like, I was just kind of like, but I had to realize, like, okay, his priorities aren't my priorities. And so just because I find it a huge priority to get XYZ done that day, if he doesn't see it as a priority, I can guarantee you it's not going to get done. And I didn't express to him how strongly I felt about it being a priority. So that was on me too. I just kept saying, hey, can you do this? Hey, wasn't like, hey, dude, I need this done today because I'm going to lose my mind, you know?
And I think especially with women, we think to ourselves, once we've said it 3 or 4 times, you should know it's important and it's a priority, but they don't get it because you're still going, "Hey, it would be great if this got done." And they're like, "Yeah, it would, but not today."
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, it's
True.
not like he wasn't doing things. He was doing things. They just were on his priority list, not mine. You know, and so it's important to kind of like that whole word priority. I think it's interesting because when you sit back and I love the action steps of just kind of really taking stock of your time and what it is you're prioritizing over other things. And it's kind of like years ago, what they used to tell people in direct sales, they were just like, clock in and out of your business, right? So actually clock in and out, like mentally, or write it down or whatever, so you can track how many hours you actually spend doing income producing activities and things like that. I never like to do that because I get really discouraged because I was spending so much time doing those things and I did not have the income to back it up. And so that would be frustrating to me. And so I didn't do that practice. But this is kind of along the same vein as far as like writing down all the tasks. And one time, at one point, I remember I was trying to figure out how to create more time in my schedule. And I wrote down all the things I did for the week, and I try to figure out, I prioritize them, but I also try to figure out what are things I can have somebody else do. What are things that I can pass on to somebody else, and it makes a difference, to try and kind of figure that out. Because sometimes there are things that maybe somebody else could do for you, whether, I mean, Eric used to enter like all of my emails and contacts into like I Make News, right? Because he could do that while he's watching TV. It didn't phase him. And I wasn't very good on the keyboard, and so I had to look at the keyboard to type. And so I that type of stuff took me forever, whereas he's like "Du- du- 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 du," and so I realized like he could get things like that done twice as, honestly, more like 4 times as fast as I could. And so he would do that kind of stuff for me. So, little things like that maybe you can pass on, or just give up, be like, okay, that's not a priority, and I'm not getting a return on that, so maybe I'll revisit it later. So I think it's good to make a list like that, just to kind of see, okay, where I spend my time, and to be honest with yourself. Too many times we make up excuses for ourselves, right? This is the bullshit we tell ourselves. We make up excuses, and just kind of like, whether it is I'm too busy or whatever. And maybe you're just like, yeah, I have been contacting people. Well, I have, they just haven't been calling me back. Right. Well, how many people did you contact? Did you contact 200 or did you contact 2? There's a difference, and just being really honest with yourself. And sometimes it's not fun to be honest with yourself, because you realize like, hey, I am slacking, and it's no wonder that I don't have any parties in my books right now. I need to get on that.
Was like when she was saying that she scheduled 2 hours to write and then had all that other stuff that happened in that time
2
frame.
hours. Mhm.
It's like whenever you some of those diets that you used to go on and they would say, write down everything you put in your mouth for the next 48 hours. And if you ever did that and went back and look, it was like, holy
No
crap.
wonder I gained weight.
I can't cook anymore because apparently I eat half a meal while I'm
Exactly.
and then I sit down with a plate full of food and go, but all I ate was dinner. Twice. But I mean, I think we do. Because it's like, well, I've been at my computer all day. Yeah, but what were you doing? I mean, like, were you doing anything on the computer? Or because deleting 125 emails that you need to look at is not really working. It's just clearing up space that it's not really important anyway.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do in front of the TV. Like if I'm like, okay, I really want to watch the show, I will delete emails, and I'll do it on my
I've
iPad.
gotten
It's
better.
quicker on my
Instead of just
iPad.
deleting them, I actually go to unsubscribe.
Yeah, I need to do
Yeah.
that.
And it usually takes 2 weeks for them to unsubscribe, and then I don't really realize if they have or not, because I still get so much crap that it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, but
Yeah.
I know.
yeah.
I know. And it's so easy to get distracted, or to get, you start one thing and then you get a phone call and you go to something else. And then it's like, okay, what was I doing? And you're into all kinds of other stuff in the meantime. And it's very hard. And when you have And I know, husbands and kids and stuff home, or moms and whatever, it's very easy to get distracted and very easy to lose your concentration and focus.
Yes,
Makes it difficult.
it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why it's important to have that priority list. So when you
Mhm.
do have that nugget of time, you can just like, bam, knock something off of that list. When you don't have it written down, I can't tell you how many times, honestly, probably for years, I get up in the morning, kind of be like, well, guess I'll do a little work today. And then it would take me till noon. Oops. Talking with my hands. It would take me till noon to figure out like what it was I needed to do. And then I was just like, and then it was like, oh, well, it's almost time to get the kids. Like, and it was ridiculous. And so that's when I started like making my list the day before, the week before, things like that, just always having something going.
Mhm.
To be able to make sure that I'm taking care of the key things. And so when I do have those moments where I'm like, well, I should really be doing something because I have about 30 minutes of uninterrupted time coming my way. I should really be doing something. And then at least I have my list. I could be like, okay, well, I could do that, that, and that in 30 minutes, or I could do that in 30 minutes, or I could get a head start on that, So, but yeah. And sometimes during, like, I have gotten to the point where, especially if I'm really trying to focus on something, like maybe there's a training that I'm really trying to like pour my heart into, and I have an hour before I have to pick up the kids. I sometimes I won't even answer my phone during that time because it derails me. If I get kind of in that space, that headspace, I can't, especially, and even text messages derail me honestly more than a phone call a lot of times, because a text message that I'm just kind of like thinking about what they said. I'm like, oh, I should really reply to them. Oh, they probably saw that I read it. Da, da, da. I don't look to see if people, I'm not even sure how to look to see if people read text messages, because if I did, I would obsess over it. And it would get in my psyche as they read it and they didn't answer me and they must think I'm a fool and da 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 da. Like I cannot go there. I just
They need to
know
know that that was a priority and that they need to answer me now. Yes.
I just can't. I just assume that when they reply to it, they got it. Like I can't obsess over that stuff. There's way too much us going on in this head. But
I get frustrated when I go back to a text message I've read and I see my reply, but I never hit send.
yep, yep. That happened
I'm
to me
like,
with you this morning, Jenny. Like I looked at that message, I was like, I physically remember replying to this text message, and I don't. And then I thought, and then I was like, I wonder who I replied to, because I did type it up. I mean, like I literally remember, and I'm like, I hope it made sense in whatever conversation it went to, because it didn't go here. I mean, it wasn't anything important. It just was
no.
like I did reply to it though. So weird,
Well,
you
that's
know.
okay. 'Cause when you replied to it this morning, I had forgotten I sent it last night. And you were like, I thought I replied to this last night. And I'm like, replied to what? Like,
Yeah. So it
That
is. I mean,
sounds like me.
yeah, I think we all do that. We're all guilty of that. But yeah, so it is. It's important to kind of like take a look at those things and to have them in front of you. Like I said, when you do have that moment of uninterrupted time, that you can like knock some of it out.
Mhm.
All right. All right, Jenny. I'm
all
talking
right,
to enough people.
BS2. Here we go. Let's say you're finding the time to talk to people. Fantastic. That's a start. But another big old piece of BS we tell ourselves is that we're talking to enough people. I was co-hosting a training series for some up and downers on our team. Oh, up and comers on our team.
I was thinking I was like, wow, up and downers. Well, it's kind of true, right? The people that are up and then they're down and they're up.
And where is my headspace this morning, ladies? Hang on.
Uppers and downers. Goodness, Jenny.
Right again. I was co-hosting a training series for some up and comers on our team, and my direct business partner, Dorit Carl, who's now one of the top leaders on our team, was participating. The class was challenged to double the amount of people they reached out to in 1 week. Dorit took the challenge and could not believe the flutter of activity that is generated in her business in just 7 days. She was scheduling three-way calls because of her new reach outs and scheduling more follow-ups by reaching back to more people who had previously said no or not right now. She added more business partners and customers in that week than she had in the prior 5 weeks combined. After she reported her progress on the weekly class conference call, she was asked what the difference was this week. Dorit then said something that has become legendary in our company. I didn't know I wasn't talking to enough people until I started talking to enough people. Preach. Like many of you, Dorrit had tricked herself into thinking that she was really talking to enough people. In reality, she only had a few people in her funnel, but she had fooled herself into thinking she was really busy. The exercise was a slap in the face, she admitted. It changed the way I worked my business for good. Dorrit started to follow a daily reach out system that many of us follow, which was formalized by another one of our team members at the tippy top of our company, Marissa McDonough. She's a fellow Butte, Montana native and one of the coolest women I know, so I have a real soft spot for her. It's called the 5-3-2 method. Like everything else in this business that works, it's simple. Reach out to 5 new people a day, follow up with 3 people in your funnel, and quickly check in with 2 of your business partners, even if it's just a quick text of encouragement or a shout out on Facebook. This activity not only led Dorrit to re-engage in her business, it also caused her excitement and her belief to grow. She became more confident, which made her more effective in prospecting and more magnetic. It's no surprise that she started seeing consistent results. She talked her way into a free Lexus, luxury trips for her and her husband Scott to Hawaii and London, and to the top of our company. Her team's duplication and her paycheck continued to increase. So if you were a team member isn't growing, or even worse, going backwards, ask yourself or your team member, how many times have you presented the opportunity this week? How many 3-way calls have you done? You can't BS those numbers. Here's what I know after growing a 7-figure business. If you're not adding business partners and customers, you are not talking to enough people. So make sure you're actually talking to new people every damn day. That's how you find people who want to use your products and who want to learn more about your business, which means you'll be bringing your upline 3-way calls, which means you'll be adding business partners. And this is what you'll model for your entire team. This biz is a numbers game, and there's no way to bullshit the numbers. I've recruited enough people. Maybe you've been telling yourself, hey, I've been working the numbers game. I've recruited 20 or 30 or 40 people, and I'm not where I should be or thought I would be. Let's think about this for a minute. If it only took recruiting that small number, wouldn't you hear about the enormous success stories in this business channel all the time? We don't, so that must not be enough. My friend Richard Bliss Brooke, who is a living legend in our profession, has studied how many people it takes to build big. He's talked to hundreds and hundreds of successful network marketing professionals, and here's what he found we all have in common. We recruited at least 100 people in our first 2 years. If you're in the 3rd year of your business and you've recruited fewer than 50 people and you aren't where you want to be, there's your big clue. I challenge you to commit to bring on 25 people in the next 6 months, and then 25 more people in the next 6 months. That would be 50 people in a year. So what if you fall short? Shoot for the moon and land among the stars. You'll still be much closer to your goal than you are now. Among those new peeps, you'll have found people who have come to play big, and your bank account will definitely be happier for all your efforts. I'm being coachable, but nothing is happening. I'm sure you think you're being coachable, and you may in fact really be trying to be coachable. But if you were 100% coachable, you'd be seeing success. Are you really talking to enough people, leading with the business and defaulting to the products? Are you hiding behind email and texting to talk to your network, or are you picking up the damn phone like you're coached? Are you being consistent, touching your business every day? Are you having faith in the 3-way call? Are you working on what's between your ears every day? The answers to these questions, when you answer them honestly, will tell you what's wrong. Okay, maybe you have been coachable, but you've been receiving really bad coaching. That's not your fault, and I'm sorry that's happened to you. But be really glad you found this book, because I've seen over and over that when people follow what I've laid out in this book, their business grows and they have a lot of fun in the process. I've got a runner. This is something that drives me absolutely batshit crazy. It's common BS we tell ourselves that completely screws with our heads and ultimately our business. I hear this all the time. Oh my God, I've got a runner, or superstar, or insert whatever noun you want to describe someone who's going faster than average. But the reality is their runner has been stuck at the minimum personal volume to be commissionable for 3 months in a row. Okay, people, that's not a runner or a superstar or a rock star. That's a dabbler who's doing the minimum required to earn commission in a pay plan. That's mediocre at best. A runner is someone who follows the system to the letter, who reaches out to new people all the time, who brings you multiple 3-way calls every week, who adds new business partners every single month and doesn't stop. That's a runner. It's kind of like Dorrit with the talking. You won't know what a runner is till you have one. So until you find one, just trust me. You must routinely take inventory of what you have in order to know how far you have to go to reach your goals. That requires you to be realistic about what you really have. If you're fooling yourself that you have runners, superstars, and others who are in fuego, aka wholesale customers, dabblers, and hobbyists, you'll slow down your activity. And this will keep you from finding the people out there who are really going to run with you. Another reason we mischaracterize or exaggerate the activity and commitment of those on our team is because it makes it easier to justify spending your time coaching them instead of doing the hard stuff. I'm sorry, but once you stop doing all this coaching, pleading, dragging, carrying, you will have a whole bunch of time back on your plate to reach out and talk to people with skin and find the right folks. So get real with yourself and your team. Stop digging around, do the hard stuff, and grow your wealth. She's fun. Okay, I can only sell products. Wrong. That's total BS. The real problem is you're leading with the products and not talking enough about the business. Remember, the vast majority of the time, we lead with the business and default to the products. There are two reasons why people won't lead with the business. Either you feel insecure when talking about the business, or you're simply not coachable. So if you're not leading with the business, ask yourself which one applies to you. But here's the inescapable truth. You get what you asked for. If you don't talk about the business, you'll never add business partners. Plus, the conversation flow simply won't work if you lead with the product. If you talk to someone about the products and they say, no, I don't want to use your products, how on earth can you transition to, well, how about considering building a business with these products you have no interest in at all? There are countless stories in our company about people who added customers and never mentioned the business. Yet they're incensed when the customer tells them they want to join another business builder's team. Well, tough luck, chick. The other builder actually had a business conversation with them. If you're leading with the products, you're likely doing it because it feels safe. It's comfortable. The important thing to figure out is why it's uncomfortable for you to lead with the business. That's what you should be working on. I don't need three-way calls. Oh, this is some major league bullshit. You need to use them whether you're brand spanking new or a seasoned veteran of a profession. If you don't believe me, go back and reread chapter 6. I don't have the right network. Again, bullshit. You're prejudging. You really have no idea what someone wants or needs or may be looking for until you have a conversation with them. You have no idea who will actually grow this thing. People have said to me that they never thought in a million years I'd be building a network marketing business. And I could say that about some of our most valuable players on my team. Who does have the right network? Anyone with big enough balls to reach out and have conversations with people they know and people they get referred to. More times than not, when you offer up this excuse, what you're really saying is, I'm too chicken to reach out to people who could really run with this and make themselves and me a fortune. You may also be saying, and this greatly saddens me, I don't think I'm worthy of great success. I don't want to be that person who people run from. Phew, I don't want you to be that person either. Somehow, somewhere, you got it in your head that reaching out to people about your business and your products is bothering them. But what if you knew that the next person you message on Facebook to start a conversation desperately needs to earn more money so she can get out of a broken marriage? What if the next person you run into around town is living in a fancy house that she can no longer afford and is going to the food bank to feed her girls? What if the next person you call is trying to recapture an identity outside of mom and wife and misses the social, intellectual, and financial benefits of working, but needs flexibility? These are real stories from our team, and they're all driving free Starfire Pearl Sexy Lexi now. Yes, that's really how we sometimes refer to the free Lexus cars we get. We take this all very seriously. For the right people, you have a gift. Don't decide for someone else whether they need that gift. Think highly enough of them to let them decide. So you already learned that just by being human, they're programmed to say no. So if they say no, don't take it personally. Move on to the next person and remember to reach back and follow up with the no's. We have a whole bunch of Lexus owners who said no first, but really meant not right now. I don't want to work from appointment to appointment because I don't want to be pushy. Working from appointment to appointment is not pushy. It's the other P word, professional. Your time is valuable and so is your prospect's time. Stop pussyfooting around and efficiently lead your prospects through the process of discovering if this is a good fit for them. If you don't set appointments, you'll be chasing people, which will undoubtedly make you feel pushy and like one of those people. So save yourself some grief, treat others like you'd want to be treated, and be professional. This should be easier. Why? I think you're confusing simple with easy. Yes, our business is incredibly simplistic, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Give me an example of another incredibly rewarding endeavor that's easy. Marriage, parenthood, earning an advanced degree, running a marathon, getting and staying in good shape. Are any of these easy? No, they're hard work and also incredibly rewarding. So why would you think that building your own 6 or 7-figure business would be easy? It's true that it's far easier to build this sucker than having to build an entire infrastructure and everything else that usually goes into creating a business of your own from the ground up. Certainly easier than that, but not easy. So stop bitching it's not easier and just work harder and smarter. I love this quote from entrepreneur, investor, film producer, author, TV star, and philanthropist Mark Cuban, who knows a few things about being successful. Work like there's someone working 24 hours a day to take it away from you. In other words, consistently work your ass off and you'll see success. It ain't complicated.
Hey, Jenny, stop for just a second.
Okay.
So that last comment right there. So this time last year, that was exactly what my mindset was I felt like everything was going to be taken away from me if I did not run as fast as I could in the direction of figuring this whole virtual thing out, because I didn't know how to I knew a little bit about Facebook parties, not much about like how to teach, not enough to teach somebody how to do a Facebook party. I didn't know how to make graphics. I didn't know all the things that kind of went along with that. I knew enough to get by, but not enough to actually thrive or teach other people to do it. And that was exactly how I felt for probably 2 months. I had this awful fear that somebody was like trying to take everything away from me. And I worked as if somebody was working against me. And, it made a huge, huge impact on the business, a huge impact, because I was working more hours than I normally do. But it also was like, because the kids were home, I was trying to balance all of that stuff. So all that was going on during the day. So that was the interrupted time. So I did not get that much done that way. I'm working in the bedroom, sitting on a hope chest. I didn't even have a comfortable place to sit. Okay. Like I would sit here on these Zooms with my butt on a hard hope chest the entire time. Okay. And then when Eric left the office, I went into the office for hours to try and work in the office on the computer. But that was the way I felt. I felt like somebody was trying to take this from me. And of course there was no somebody, but I just felt like it could easily slip through my fingers if I did not take like a massive action right then. And it made all the difference in the world. It started the ball rolling that created the snowball that was last year. There were some other things that I wanted to point.
Hey, Ellen,
Yeah.
on that note, that's kind of the position I was in, because when all of this happened, not only was I not comfortable doing Facebook parties, but I had a majority of my team that didn't even have that option
Yeah. Yeah.
of doing Facebook parties. I mean, talk about almost panicking, thinking everything is going down the drain that you've worked for, and you had to really think outside the box. I mean, I'm so proud of my team for last year because we actually had growth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You guys did great.
but it was like there for like about 2 months, we were down. And until we kind of got some things figured out and made some big steps and some big moves, it finally got going again. But it was like a shock to your system, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's great.
Was the
That's
show
taking
good?
down the show.
Was it good?
Yeah. And even just kind of talking about like prejudging. And I think that we do. How many times have we been working with somebody that says like, oh, well, that's not the people that I'm dealing with. They don't use necessarily the word network, but they're like, well, you don't understand, my friends and family, they don't support me. But they're prejudging in a lot of those cases. Hold on, what is it? Oh, okay. They're prejudging in that time, um of whether or not, and we've been guilty of it too, because we don't want to be that pushy person. We don't want to be the person that people run from, and so we do sometimes have a tendency to prejudge and keep from talking to people. But I think as a leader, that's something that's important for us to recognize, to try and push our new people to pass that. The sooner they get past that, the sooner that they'll be able to kind of keep moving forward. But yeah. All right, that's it.
So one of my favorite conversations with that kind of networking people are like, I have a multitude of people who none of their friends have money.
Yes.
None of my friends have enough money. And that conversation happened over lunch, over dinner, over while we were at the mall. They don't have the money for this. And I'm like, so if you were at lunch with your friend that doesn't have any money, unless you were splitting that dollar cheeseburger at McDonald's, she's got some kind of money. And that's why, and I told my kids, you have the money for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if maybe you don't have $109 to start a business, but I bet you have 15. And if you have 15, we can get you to the point where you have the 109 and it's not a problem. So, I think that's one of those BS excuses is I don't have the money because this isn't where it's a priority. This isn't where you want to spend the money. It's not that you don't have it, but you could probably come up with $15 if you really wanted to make this a priority to make more money. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I heard Pam recently when she was talking to somebody about that objection in particular, and she said, "Well, I don't sell bowls. I don't sell measuring cups. I don't sell the things that people can buy anywhere, right? Because if somebody wants to buy one of those from Tupperware, they came here wanting to buy one of those from Tupperware, but they're not going to be sitting here and be convinced that they should buy this Tupperware bowl for $30 when they could get, a comparable one for $5 at the dollar store, right? And so she talked about, really focusing on the products that they can't get at the dollar store, the products that are going to save them money, like Fridge Smarts, like the grill, like things like that are things that they can't just go and get anywhere. You create that desire for those sort of things, and people do. They find the money for the things they want. Period. There's no two ways about it. If I want something bad enough, I will figure it out. Like, but I have to want it bad enough, or if I want something for my kids bad enough, I will figure it out, and so that is a big major like BS that people tell themselves that, oh, nobody I know has money.
But I remember whenever there's a girl on Catch's Team Juicy, and when she first joined, she wanted the grill, but she didn't want to buy it. She
Yeah.
didn't want to buy it. She didn't want to pay half price for it. So the conversation I had with her was, so I can get it free through that confident start thing. All I have to do is sell that much to get the grill for free. And I was like, yeah, yeah, you can get it free that way. And she was like, okay. And she ended up with the cookware. And I'm like,
Okay.
if that's how you want to do it, you go right ahead.
Yeah, but that is totally what it boils down to. Is
Well, and
like,
Katja
if
had
they
said,
want it, they'll do it.
Katja said, I have a grill. I could challenge her to step up to manager. I said, don't you dare. And she was like, what? I said, if she's willing to do it through Confidence Start, you just keep encouraging her to do it through Confidence Start. I said, tell her we'll send her a cookbook for the grill. And she
Exactly.
I'll print something. It'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, it just depends on, and she did. That's what she did. She was like, okay, I got this.
Yeah, and she's still going strong.
She is. She's doing
Yeah.
great.
So,
Yeah.
I gotta hop off of here. I have a doctor's appointment, so I have to go. But Jenny will keep going, and I'll see you all next week.
Okay. Have
Okay,
fun.
bye.
Bye. Okay, guys. I don't have what it takes to be a leader. I need you to hang on for just a second. So talk amongst yourselves, Amy, Lydia, and Julie. Say something amazing about something.
Find out, Amy, anything?
After I pushed just a little bit, they gave me a ticket number to have those orders expedited, and I'm supposed to call back later to check on that. So, a little background, Lydia, I did a bridal shower catalog party for somebody, and the shower is actually this Saturday, but we closed the party over a month ago, and the stuff isn't to her yet, and she's really anxious. So, and everybody's from out of town. So all the guests are from out of town. The bride and groom are from out of town.
So they're really counting on it all being there to be able to get to everybody.
So did you track, I'm sorry, I missed some of that. Did you track it?
I called them. They gave me a ticket number to have the orders expedited. So I'm supposed to call back this afternoon or later today to find out what's going on with it. So
Wow.
All right, okay.
and that looks like Lydia's off on the go.
Pam says happy
I
birthday.
have a doctor's appointment too, so, and
Ah,
I'm taking you with me, okay?
Oh,
Awesome.
we get to go with you to your doctor's appointment? That's exciting.
Well, not quite that far, but you know,
Okay, 'cause there's some TMI in there, I'm sure. So,
Sure.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Go
want,
with the car, though.
I want to know where these priorities are.
My priorities are good.
That's why
I'm
she got
taking
the phone
you
in the
with-
car with her. Yeah.
Yep, I'm taking you with me.
Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. I don't have
Okay.
what it takes to be a leader. You may be telling yourself that successful people have talents, experience, and access to things that you don't. The never-ending stream of success stories in our profession of people with every type of background imaginable proves this is utter bullshit. What you're really telling yourself is that you don't believe you have what it takes to lead or that you don't deserve success. If you're carrying around these harmful beliefs, you're not alone. These doubts can and do plague people, from women with accomplished corporate careers all the way to stay-at-home moms who've never worked outside the home. It's a lot more common than I ever imagined. But I'm calling bullshit on this also. I hate saying this with your mother sitting here.
I know, right?
And I know she can't hear me, but I feel bad. Anyway, award-winning college football offensive line coach Jason McIndoe sums up nicely. Leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leaders are agents of change that add value to those around them and make a positive impact in their organization. Good leaders inspire their followers to have confidence in them, but great leaders inspire their followers to have confidence in themselves. Leadership isn't complicated. Anyone can be a leader in this profession by showing your team how to build. You do that by building your business. Walk the walk and talk the talk. If you're willing to do everything it takes to duplicate in this business, then you will inspire. Then without even trying to lead.
Busted.
She just read the name of the book. That's exactly what you'll be doing. It's about simply having confidence in ourselves, believing we're worthy, and taking action to reach our goals. That's what impresses others, inspires others. I can't read. Okay. I will make mistakes. This one isn't BS. You will make mistakes. You will fail. But the BS part of this is that somehow you're telling yourself that you're not supposed to make mistakes to be successful. Quit laughing at me, Amy. Or that somehow there are other humans who are anointed at birth with immunity from screwing up, coming up short, or falling flat. Here's the thing. None of us are immune from failure, and thank God for that. Because I've learned as an entrepreneur, a wife, a parent, a sister, and a human that we can't learn how to do anything really well without making mistakes. A major business crush of mine, Sir Richard Branson, is full of pearls of wisdom on the importance of failure. Whenever I've stepped in it, I've replayed his often quoted, tweeted, and posted wise words in my head. Failure is simply indispensable to the entrepreneurial experience. Nobody gets everything right every time, and it's how we learn from our mistakes that defines us. When I screw up, and I do just about every day in some part of my life, I do an exercise that takes just a few minutes and is a tremendous help. I encourage you to try it. Stop and think about what happened, why it happened, and what you can learn from it. Then let it go. Be kind to yourself. This exercise has proven invaluable to not only helping me avoid the same mistake again, but also to gaining insights that help me be a better, happier, and more fulfilled human. When you and those you work with make mistakes, have grace with them and yourself, because we're all works in progress.
So pretty,
How exciting is that?
so pretty. Did you get it for me? Very pretty.
It's saturated where I live. This biz just doesn't work in our town. I don't have anyone near me to help me. I howl when I hear these BS excuses. I started my business in the thriving metropolis of Bozeman, Montana, population 39,000. I was the first consultant for my company in the state, so I had no local support. But I started talking to people and added Nicole Cormany. Then we were a party of two. I added fellow Bozemanite Bridget Kavanaugh, who had contacts all over the country. Before long, we were a party of 10, then 30, and it just kept growing exponentially from there. We were living in this gorgeous little hamlet, building our business not only in Bozeman and around Montana, but also around the country. Southern California started growing in a big way because of Tracy Willard, a Bozeman teacher Nicole brought on board, who was originally from Orange County. Spokane, Washington started to blow up with 3 future Lexus owners and their teams because Nicole's husband Josh grew up with Amy Bird, who lived there. Bridget's tentacles reached out to Denver, Jackson Hole, Washington, D.C., and Dallas, and those teams reached out around the country. As the team has grown through the years, we've of course added huge teams in large metropolitan areas around the country and now in Canada. But we've also seen big success stories coming from small towns. Jessica Zuroff, one of our team's top leaders, had a meteoric start to her business that kept going, and now she's the very top in our company. She lives in Hebron, North Dakota, population 747. Try telling Jessica size matters. On the other hand, don't think that just because your market has loads of network marketing professionals, whether in your company or in other companies, that it's going to affect your business. One thing our Bozeman team taught us is there's plenty of room to grow, since everyone has different networks and different spheres of influence. That's why at one point there were 3 Lexus owners living in the same neighborhood in Bozeman, with a 4th just a mile down the road. It's why there are 4 enormously successful team members who started out at the same elementary school in Amarillo, Texas. I remember going to our company's first convention, just 3 months in and very green, and walking up to the then VP of sales, the great late Chris Diaz, to introduce myself. I told him I was going to build Montana so big one day that he'd be forced to come from warm Florida to the frozen tundra to support my team. He let out one of his deep laughs that always ended in a high-pitched giggle and said in his Cuban accent, "These businesses don't grow big in places like Montana." Chris knew exactly what he was doing. He immediately recognized I was hungry, had a big fire in my belly, and loved a challenge. By telling me that piece of BS, he knew he was going to be throwing gasoline on my fire and getting me to run even faster. I replied, "Watch me. I'll have you on a horse one day." I never did get Chris to Montana on that horse. He got sick with cancer and passed away far too soon, leaving behind a beautiful family and thousands of people in our profession he touched. But I'll never forget what he whispered in my ear the night I received the 2 top awards at our company's 2nd convention just a year later. "I knew you'd build it. I just knew you could do it. I knew a woman like you doesn't believe in excuses." I don't want you to believe in excuses either. We have such a short time here. At the end of our days, do we want to look back and know we were brave and audacious, or do we want to have lived a life of excuses? As Chris was best known for teaching all of us, you're exceptional and bound for greatness. Don't let excuses get in the way of that. All these stories you're making up in your head are a complete waste of time and energy. They're just excuses. When we make excuses like this, we're really just scared we're not good enough or worthy of great success. What are your limiting beliefs about yourself? Where do they come from? Past failures? What you were told growing up? What you were told yesterday by the prospect who said you thought your business was stupid? The truth is, we have everything within ourselves to succeed. But in this business, you have to have a few other really important things. Hunger, the willingness to be completely coachable and learn how to do this. Consistency, the willingness to be uncomfortable, and the resilience to keep going in the face of no's and disappointments. It's so sad how many businesses fail before they're even started or blocked from becoming the huge success stories they can be because of the excuses we tell ourselves. How many times have you told yourself you can't do something countless other people can? Every time you put out an excuse, you place another cement block in the walls you're building around yourself. With each excuse, you're trapping yourself in a prison of mediocrity of your own creation, condemning yourself to a life you really don't want. Being in that box may feel safe, but over time, what's going to be in there with you is a whole lot of regret. That's ifs, shame, and loneliness. What I've learned working with thousands of people of all different backgrounds, skill sets, and personality types is that we can conquer the negative voices and recognize the BS for what it is, a load of crap. We can pull the cement blocks down, let the light in, and increase our possibilities. We can get out of our own way and get on with the business of building our future and stepping into our greatness. For reasons that we've already discussed, I am not going to say the name of the next chapter, but we will go there next week. There's only so much I can do here, guys. But yeah, she saw the name of the book. She goes, "You shouldn't be reading."
Nice.
I know. All right. So anybody got anything on all of this?
think
I
see
really,
the- oh, I'm sorry.
Did Ellen check out
What?
the next one?
The next book? Oh, to see if it's the same, whether it's the same book. I don't know if she did or not. I'll ask her.
it must be because I got her extra copy as my, or I got a copy, I should say, as my birthday present. So now I have
Yay,
the
I was gonna
5-second
ask
rule.
you, but I didn't want to ask you with Ellen on the phone in case she didn't give it to you.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So it
I-
is the same?
It must be, or I don't know, because after she talked about that in the last book club, I texted her and I said, well, you have a sister whose birthday is coming up, and that would make a really great gift.
I'm thinking that they probably just changed the cover to make it
I
more
think
current.
that's probably it,
Yeah,
yeah.
just to make it a more current look.
And added pictures, right? Or something.
Yeah, I can't picture her rewriting that whole book just for something to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
that
yeah.
would be book 2 and she'd make a whole lot more money if she redid it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think they probably updated the cover because she's gotten so much more like famous, like
her
from
face
yeah, her face is
way
now
more
famous.
now, yeah.
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 So they put that on there to draw people's attention to it,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So,
But yeah,
I found mine last night. Well, I didn't find it. I knew where it was, but I saw it last night and I have the gold 5 on the front. So,
great.
5-second rule by Mel Robbins, right?
yep.
Okay. I need to
And
get
I
mine.
also looked at mine and it's colored in about 5 different colors. So yeah, it's like one of those rainbow Bibles. All the important things are one color and there's other stuff another color.
I have one of
Right.
those.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Words in Mel Robin in red, that kind of thing.
So I really liked how at the very end she was talking about how you can pull down those cement blocks that they don't have to stay there to pull down the walls. That's definitely something that I've over the last month been working really hard on, is getting all of that BS out of my head. So and I have definitely seen some of the bricks come down, some of the different walls come down as well, from doing that work. So and it's very freeing, and highly encourage it for everybody to keep working on themselves and their head game, which she talked about earlier in the chapter as well, is to making sure that every day you're taking some time for that too, in addition to your business building activities.
I think without a doubt, we do it to ourselves more than anybody else does. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely.
people have told me no over the course of 60 years that doesn't even faze me anymore.
Yeah.
About a wide variety of things, but the things that I tell myself are way worse than anything else anybody else says. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I see a lot of myself in this chapter. A lot of, I think I'm working and then but I'm really not. I think I'm doing enough, but obviously I'm not because my business isn't growing. And I mean, I talk to a lot of people and I know that I'm great at recruiting, but it's the onboarding and it's the next steps that I lack or need to work on. And I yesterday, what was it yesterday? It was Saturday. I did a show and I did nothing. It was horrible. No recruits, no sales, no datings, nothing. It was a wasted day. So I thought, but I saw that some of you guys had posted, what do you think of when you think a Tupperware thingy? So I
Yeah.
put that on several pages and I could not believe some of the negative comments that I got. And, like it's too expensive. It's, I can buy it for, whatever. But I found myself coming back with, it might seem expensive, but you only have to buy it once. So I was responding in those words, and I'm hoping to go back to those people and get, further conversation going. So that's what I'm working on this week, to try and get some of those conversations going.
The other thing, Julie, and we heard this on with leadership this weekend, and it really, like the way she said it was funny. It was Joni Momonis, was funny, but what she said made a whole lot of sense, because she said, like we're doing this $15 sign up for the discount kind of thing. And she said, when people say, well, I just want in to be able to place my own orders, I just want in for the discount. And she said, so my follow-up call with them the next day is essentially, let's put your money where your mouth is. Let me help you place your first order. She goes, because
Oh,
that way I go with them into their website, show them where to go to place the order, because, and she said, of course, she doesn't say put your money where your mouth is, but she calls and says, listen, when you gave me your information yesterday and I put you in, so now let me help you place that first order so you can make the most of your discount. And I was like, shit.
I know, that was awesome. And then at the end, when she said, they don't know what they don't know, but
Yeah.
we know what they need to know. So we need to keep them included in, what's in it for them. Like she talked about the Confident Start program as the $2,000 reward package.
Yeah.
I
Ooh.
love those word
oh,
choices.
I like that.
Well, and I always tell people, I'm going to add you to my Facebook group, which is my team page. So I need to friend you on Facebook, but that way it just makes it easier for you to see the sales as soon as they come out, so that you can go ahead and order.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you get these people that they're not going to buy catalogs. They're not going to buy sales flyers. They're not going to remember to go on the website to see what's new that's on sale. But if they're on my team page.
Right. And
I
I
can
do
make sure
that.
they see it. Yeah.
Right. I do that with everybody. Whether they're just in for the discount or not. So that is one good thing I do that I see that is a good recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and Julie, as far as working on onboarding, that's something we're all working on to get better at. I believe, because Lori had 100% activity from all of her new people last month. That is freaking amazing.
Oh my God.
But that's not the normal. So that's
Right.
something that we're all working towards to get that number higher. So you working on that you're doing the right thing.
So you guys have to know that, because I couldn't just leave that alone with Lori when she had 100% onboarding. I sent her a text that said 100% onboarding. That's awesome. What'd you have, one recruit?
I didn't
Nice.
know there were many.
No, she didn't. She had many more than that.
You're awful.
Oh my, that's hilarious.
But she loves me. I tell her she loves me all the time. Say, Lori, you love me. All
I
right,
say
guys.
that to somebody too. I wonder who I say that to.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder.
Much fun. All right, ladies. And the ones that are on here, I just want you to know that your St. Patrick's Day shirt went out in the mail Saturday, and everybody's supposed to have them today, tomorrow, or early Wednesday. So, except
Yay.
Lydia, yours are going to be sitting at the studio. So there you go.
Okay, yeah, I'll be up to get them.
Okay. All
Sounds
right.
good. Thank you.
All right, guys. See you
Guys.
tonight on the manager thing. Say
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Say
Yes.
yes. No, I'll be sure. Say yes. Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
then afterwards as well on Jessica and Amy, they're doing a booking blitz tonight to make sure that you get your people on there.